Welcome back to the channel, everybody. So, I have an absolute bee in my bonnet, okay? A couple of things, a little bit of a different video. We're gonna start this one with me talking to you. We're gonna go look at the computer, and then we're gonna go out into the field. But I'm starting this one off on the negative note, okay? So if you wanna hear this out, hear me out. If it's not your cup of tea, I get it. There's like 300 other videos here on the channel. All right, so what we're talking about here, we're gonna start this one off talking about this thing, the Chemtrails of Washington. This is the thing, the book, the guide that everybody points to. Well, I have a major problem with this, specifically Site 95, okay? This is the Deep Creek listing, but specifically in here, the Pastelite listing, right? Now, I think this is complete garbage. So let me just paint a picture for you, okay? I'll just read a little portion of this, and then I'll provide my commentary and show you some other stuff. Site B is the main Pastelite site along the south bank of the Spokane River. Pastelite is a good name for this chalcedony or opal material that comes in pleasing greens and shades of pink. This one involves a lot of rock banging, although you can still find occasional boulders and washes and gullies. Pastelite is found in the veins among granite outcrops. Once you arrive in granite country along the Spokane River, you'll have to get out on foot and go searching. I found some decent seams that showed very slight color. And I have heard of better material than I stumbled across. I listed it, important part, I listed it because this part of Washington has so few good spots, and it seemed worthwhile to look for something new. So few spots. Bart Cannon, the late Bart Cannon, who many would call probably an expert. He's definitely an expert, okay? He's an expert on minerals of Washington. He had this to say about this region. The state's greatest variety of mineral assemblages, as well as its greatest concentration of economically significant ones, except sand and gravel, exist in this province. Here, we're talking. So in this situation, we got two people saying 100% different things, right? Granted, old book, newish book. Bart Cannon knows what he's talking about. Garrett doesn't know what he's talking about, right? Well, where did this come from, right? Where did this pink and green pastelite come from? Well, first off, let's look at a couple of things. Chalcedony, right? Seams of it, okay? Here's a tumbled piece. Tumbled. Opal. Opal and chalcedony. Now I know these come in very, very different forms, but this is not out there in that granitic rock out there. I know, I've walked it many, 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 many times. And geologically speaking, since your agate, chalcedony, opals, these are hydrothermically deposited either from the bottom going up or the top going down to get into stuff. There is, however, there is small seams of quartz out there, which nobody cares about that. I don't personally care about that. Where did Garrett get this information? Okay, so this book right here, Western Gem Hunters Atlas from 1992, has a little tiny mark for pastelite right there. The Northwest Gem and Fields and Ghost Town Atlas from 1975 has pink and green pastelite marked right there. Now, if you search this thing on the internet, you'll come up with a number of things, most of which don't lead you anywhere. People say it's jasper, people say it's this, but I will say that it's not coming out of the granite out there. Now, and in theory, you're going to be only really getting this material out of basalt. I mean, that's it. And there's not a lot of basalt out there. And actually, depending on the geological map that you look at and the age of that map and stuff, it looks like there's nothing. Well, if you look at a 7.5 minute 24K geological map, we will see that there's some very thin strips of basalt out there. And talking about it being on the banks, well, no. And we're going to head up to the computer, and we're going to look at some stuff. We're going to figure out where we're going today, and then we're going to go, and we're going to look, and you're going to walk around with us, and that. So, okay. One more rant before we go do that. Him saying that there's nothing else out here is just complete and utter garbage. Garbage. I have proven it many times. Go look at my website. There's a whole map, and it's just like Northeast Washington. I've gone to like a quarter of the spots I want to go to out here, right? Bart Cannon, right? Garrett, wrong. Enough said with that. Let's go see if this is just a copycat reprinting of old bad information, or if there's anything to it. So this is going to be the final Pastelite hunt, unless I don't know, somebody sends me a photo of themselves with it, holding up that day's newspaper. I don't buy it. All right, up to the office. So here we are, we're looking at the National Geological Map database, and we're zoomed in on the area in question out here along the south bank of the Spokane River. And you can see all these different colored units. And over here on the side, we have all these different maps to pick from. Well, since we want a very detailed map, we'll click the 24K, and there we go. Here is our geological map highlighted in green right here. And when we open this up, it looks like this. So we have a geological map of that area in question. We have a colored legend and some geological like side profiles, basically. If we zoom all the way in here, we get a much better view of what is happening here. So a couple things that we want to pay attention to is this line D, this line C. Before we look at our legend here, I'll just point out that all of this kind of like gray-brown color, this is all glacial flood outburst alluvial deposit loose rock. This pink color here, these are granites, okay? And these little colored strips right here, these like purples where you see the cursor, that is basalt. We got some basalt here. All these little green diamonds are where they actually did some sampling. And then this is also some basalt in here, but that's on private property. You can see our little colored legend here. We have the pink Cretaceous granites, and then we have our colored basalts here. So I think if that material is anywhere out here, it's not going to be in this Cretaceous granite. It's going to be in this accessible basalt. That's just my theory. It's better than anything I've ever heard from anyone, so that's what we're going with here. This letter C and D down here at the bottom reference this right here. So we can see here's it's like a side profile, right? Like if you were to cut in, this is what you'd be looking at, the geological slice of the cake, We can see that we just have that alluvial glacial flood outburst basically everywhere until we get up here. I think the likelihood of finding the chalcedony or opal or whatever the heck this pastelite's supposed to be, it's not likely to be down here on the banks of the river. So, and that, it's going to be up high. It's going to be coming out directly. And So one thing that's nice about the Geological Map database, you can see at the bottom of the screen, that is, as I move my cursor, we have GPS coordinates. So I took a coordinate pen right there and moved down right there. So I have 2 coordinates that I then plotted on Gaia, and we have this right here now so that we can take it with us, basically. And we can see now with our public and private lands data that we have access. So this is public, right? So we can go out and we can walk out South Bank Road and we can get up into the basalt. Hopefully basalt, and then walk to the southwest following it, and we can look and see if there's anything in it. And that's the next step. So we're going to load up and go do that. So we're starting to just walk out the road to that basalt that we already looked at on the map, and you can kind of see the road is, it's not car friendly. We have taken the Subaru out here. Trucks, yes, but we're just kind of a walk. Got the dog, and see what we can see. What do you think of the Pastelite?
I have no idea because I've never seen it.
I mean, it's. I want to believe. Obviously, I think this is our 6th. I think it's our 6th time out here attempting to find it. But what are you gonna do, right? I mean, that's part of it. I mean, it shouldn't be part of it if you're buying a book to tell you where to go. It's supposed to be accurate. I mean, we certainly fell for this a number of times. I mean, I think about rock guidebooks in the same way I think about hiking books, okay? Hiking books, everything is accurate as much as possible. And I'm really reminded of a series of hiking books for Oregon where in the back they have stuff of like rumors, things like that, which the unconfirmed is important. It's important to say something's unconfirmed. And I would say that this is unconfirmed. I mean, I've known people that have came out here with their families looking for this mysterious pastelite, and obviously they found nothing. But we got a little bit more walking to do. Let's go try to find this basalt. Yeah, the road's a little worse. The road is worse now than I remembered over the summer.
Yeah, I think it is worse.
Yeah, those are some deep mud holes. Here, let's get a poking stick. Yeah, that's too much for a car. So right in front of you is this big granite outcropping, and this is what they tell you to come and look for this chalcedony opal material in. And I have me and Sarah, we have walked around here extensively looking at this rock, and it is not the type of material that you're going to find agate, chalcedony, and opal in. It's just not it. Like, this is that very solid Cretaceous granite.
But if you have some wishful thinking, you could kind of see like, oh, is that pink? Could that be pink? If you really want it, if you want to try to see something in nothing, you can in granite.
Oh.
Look at these little things.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, there is faint colors in this, but no sound-minded, reasonable person looks at that and is like, yes, opal.
They might if they were desperate to put this in a book. They knew that Spokane is the 2nd biggest city in Washington, and there's a whole market of people wanting to rockhound around here.
Yes, well, yeah, I mean, you're right. Like,
You might see something that's not actually there.
okay, so what should you never do with geology?
I don't know.
You should never take it for granted.
Oh.
I just made that up.
I bet.
So, move it, dog. Here's a great example of the quartz seams that you can see out here in these granite boulders. I don't think there's any way anybody that has ever looked at rocks before would confuse that with chalcedony, opal, anything like that. That's just not...
I mean, there's a lot of quartz around here. It should be obvious. It's quartz.
So earlier, when we were looking at the computer and I showed you my pins on Gaia, you can sync Gaia on the computer with the app on your phone, which that's something we've talked about a number of times here. I use my phone to film, so Sarah's navigating. So that's us, and we're getting close. We're out of the little corner of private property and back into public lands. And there we go. Yeah, so now we're going to start cutting off and into the woods, kind of in a more southeasternly direction, and try to locate this basalt ridge that I believe is exposed. Yeah, so we're kind of walking up on this ridge. You can see how it drops down into the woods. But all these rocks are granite, even though the Geological Map says basalt. We'll try to make it to the point where I know a basalt sample was taken, and go from there. So starting to get into the basalt here, and it's very uneventful. Very very solid. No real vesicles to to look at. And very little exposure. I mean, almost everything's being covered by pine duff. Looking at a scree field like that's going to be the best bet for maybe picking through it and finding something good. Yeah, this is
hard to see the rock.
It's all very much so covered in lichen. Yeah, there's just not much out here. We do have a lovely winter day going on with a beautiful view out there, but this basalt, this is not the basalt you look at for interesting rocks and minerals. Yeah, so it is definitely a more vesicular basalt, which that's a good sign. That's a good sign. Let's break into this a little bit. If I had to guess, this stuff right here, the powdery stuff, kind of looks like non-trinite. It's like a mineral that you'll see out here in eastern Washington. It's meant to be a pastel rock that is either jasper, chalcedony, agate, or opal, depending on the source that you want to look at. Which that's extremely confusing. Now, I mean, to be fair though, the same thing was said at Rimrock Lake, and it kind of ended up being quartz crystal, chert, chalcedony, and yeah, I guess it was mostly those things. So yeah, that I'm having a hard time believing, you know. I think that we've came out here more than anyone else and laid down more miles off trail, which that's not really something you should do unless you're prepared for off trail backcountry tromping around. So to suggest that in a guidebook that is intended for new people is also kind of a problem.
I mean, if you're putting GPS locations,
What?
if you're putting GPS in your book, one was going to assume that that's where the stuff is, approximately.
Yeah, the GPS for this location, though, is just the road at the entrance to the public lands.
Oh.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's almost like having a photo of the material is important.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's a reason people say pick sort didn't happen.
yeah, very true.
Do they still say that?
I don't know.
I don't know if they still say that.
Maybe we can still say that. So I've personally walked, without Sarah, I've walked the whole south bank. Was it last year? I walked the south bank, a huge portion of it, when they did a drawdown on the reservoir, and it exposed like the maximum amount of material possible, and I found nothing that would even be remotely construed as a pastel colored anything at all. That looks like a cave over there, doesn't it? Huh, that's kind of cool. This whole thing broke off from here and fell. Here, I'll widen the view out, you can see. Yeah, so that big piece of granite split off. Yeah, it looks like kind of neat. You coming?
Oh, I didn't know it came out the other side.
Yeah. No, it just goes around. It's really, really pretty up here. We're back down down there, and now we're almost up to the top of this. Get a little higher maybe. It's really nice and quiet. What do you think? Any thoughts, comments, things to share?
I think this is a neat area.
I think it's a really neat
You don't
area.
really see granite. I don't know, it's not a boulder, whatever this is.
It's like big granite outcroppings.
Yeah, you don't see big outcroppings that you can just like walk up on.
Yeah, I mean,
many
that
places
from
around
that perspective, I think it's neat. But from a rock hounding perspective, I think you're better off probably going literally anywhere else. I might be wrong. I mean, I'm always happy to be corrected and eat some humble pie, but where the heck is this stuff? Where the heck is it? Like, we've walked so far, so many times for this mystery material. You can camp out here, by the way. You can camp out here and hang out.
Not now.
What?
Not in the winter.
Not in the winter. But
this is part of Riverside State Park.
Is it?
Yeah, it's part of Riverside. But I mean, it's called Fisk, but it's
that
part of Riverside.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna leave this one here unless we find something extra cool on the way back. But it really goes to show that you need to be careful. You need to be careful about the sources, and if there's not photos of it, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time in that. I mean, like Sarah said, photos or it didn't happen, right? Okay, everybody, we're gonna leave this one here. Thank you for coming by, listening to me rant about stuff in the shop, walking around with us, and all right, I'll catch y'all in the next video.
Okay.
I think Sarah found the only good rock on this trip, all right? So we found, I don't even want to say the name. We found a jar for somebody with a problem. And in this jar, there's actually a rock. And that rock looks like a piece of pyrite. Is that focusing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Here. I'm not going to leave that, but let's just go like that. That's what was found.
I don't think they found it here. It was their
No,
special,
they definitely didn't.
their special adult recreation rock, apparently.
Come on, people. You're killing me.